Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I'll show you the game played by Guillaume and Marc Andria. The game starts with pawn to e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop to b5, e6, castling from the white, and knight g to e7, and now rook to e1, and knight to d4. And this is the first 5 move, and the black is trying to get control on the center and attacking the bishop, and you can bring up the bishop to enter in the center of the square. So the white capture the knight takes d4 and pawn takes d4, then d3 and a6 attacking the bishop, then bishop to c4 and knight to c6, and here after this the white play a4 to prevent the pawn to attack the bishop at c4, then bishop to e7, and now the black is preparing to castling, and in this 9 move the position is equal for both sides, then knight to, and then at this position both are equal. And can you find what is the idea that the white can play and continue to move to convert the game to a winning situation? I'll give you a couple of seconds to figure this out. Well, congratulations for those who have the idea. And in this game, the white play knight d2, and here you have a very critical path for the knight to move, an idea to attack the king. The idea is to move to knight b1 to d2, then followed by f3 and go to h2, and then g4 and attack the square at h6. And here the white made the assumption that the black will start to castling on the king side. So after this position, the black play d5, continue to pressure and attacking the white. Then the pawn capture the d5 pawn, and e takes d5 pawn. Now bishop to b3, and now castling from the black. Then queen to h5, and now we'll bring the knight to the f3, then bishop to e6 and knight to f3, and now h6. So this one can prevent the bishop to attack the diagonal. Then after this, bishop to d2, and you have bishop to f6. So this is the first 15 move, and the position is still equal. Therefore, the white had to find some idea to keep on the attack. a5 was played, then queen to d7, and now the white play h3 and preparing to move to knight h2 and g4 and attack the pawn, and the idea of sacrifice the knight. So rook a to c8 and knight to h2, then bishop to d8, and now you have knight to g4. And here black do not want to trade off the bishop, therefore the black move bishop to c7. And after this position, the white is clearly better, because at the move 20 the white made a great move by playing knight capture h6 and sacrifice the knight for the 2 bishop, because the bishop will capture back the pawn, 2 pawn for the knight. So in the actual game, knight takes h6 and check the king, and now the pawn capture back the h6 and bishop capture the pawn. So the idea of this will be white to threaten queen g5 mate. So the queen with idea will go to g5 and checkmate the king. So this is a simple checkmate. So after this, in the actual game, the black play knight to e7, and this is one of the blunder because it's allowed queen to play queen g5, and here the checkmate is unavoidable. So after this, knight to g6, then you can just capture. You can just move the queen to f6 and checkmate the king, and then use the queen to g7 and checkmate. So after queen f6, the black resign, and in the game to continue, the black can just capture the pawn or just check the king, queen to h2 check. Then you can just use the king to capture or just move away the king. So king to f1, and you have bishop to f5 attacking the queen. Then you can just use the rook to sacrifice. Rook takes e5, and here after knight capture the bishop, then you have a queen to g7 checkmate. So back to the position after bishop capture the pawn. If you move the queen to e7, and this is the only way that the queen can prevent the checkmate to the queen g5. So after queen e7, then you can just use the rook. It's a very strong sacrifice of capture the bishop. So after bishop capture the pawn first, because the bishop cannot recapture because it's pinned by the rook. Then queen to f6, then bishop to e4, and preparing to sacrifice the bishop and the queen to h7 and check the king. So rook f to d8, for example, if you make a rook f to d8, then you can just use the bishop to make another sacrifice. Bishop h7 check, and after king capture the bishop, then you can use the bishop to open check and capture the free queen. So bishop to g5, queen to h6, and then you just capture the queen, king to g8, and you can just continue to play bishop to f6 and the queen to g7 and checkmate. For example, bishop to f6, queen to h, after bishop h2 check, king capture, knight capture the pawn, and queen to g7 checkmate, and this is unavoidable. So after bishop h6, another move, if you play queen to d8, queen to d8 to protect the square, and this is also a bad move because you have a very interesting idea of rook capture the bishop and sacrifice. So if you capture with the pawn, then the queen will just go to queen g6 check the king, and the king move to h8, then the queen will just go down to g7 and checkmate. For example, queen check, king h7, and queen to g7 checkmate. So another example, if you move bishop to d8, if the queen is protecting the bishop, then you also can use the rook to sacrifice again. Rook takes e6, and after pawn capture, then you have queen to g6 check, king to h8, then you will take back the rook again. Bishop takes f8, and here you white will have a decisive advantage. And with this, thank you.